PvP in DayZ. From walking into a field to suddenly going to this screen. Or walking around and suddenly getting shot at from out of nowhere. Yeah, these scenarios you can't really prepare yourself for. But when you are prepared for PvP, there are some spicy tips that could improve your playstyle. In a previous PvP tips video, I discussed which settings are the best, so we won't cover that in this video. A link to that specific video can be found in the description. Oh, and hey guys, I would really appreciate it if you would leave a like and perhaps consider subscribing. Alright, tip number 1, snare traps. They come in 3 different options. 1 without attachments, 2nd with a grenade, and 3rd with a remote controller. Now these traps can be of great use if you need to secure a certain building, perhaps because you're waiting for your friend and the person you just killed is also coming back to that same building. You can simply combine a metal wire with 2 sticks and then place it wherever you would like and attach these items. Perfect little trap so you don't have to peek the door constantly. Tip number 2. Shout out to DayZ PVP. Perhaps you didn't know, but you can escape the PD quite easily. You can climb out of the window of the bottom floor in 2 different rooms. Same goes for 2 other buildings as people tend to lock them up. Also, you can use a fireplace to boost yourself onto a higher ground. Tip number 3, unlocking the inner ninja. Dropping and picking up your weapon from the inventory, approved by Wobo, is the fastest way to switch or pull out your weapon. Not only that, it also makes 0 sound when you pick up an item from the ground. Tip number 4, to complete the ways of the ninja, craft yourself a pair of improvised shoes. Now even with the sound patch at 1.20, it still makes less noise than normal shoes. It barely takes any inventory space and it's a perfect shoe to sneak up to somebody. Tip number 5. Sneezing while you think you're giving away your location. Little did you know, by placing a rag into your own mouth, the sound of sneezing is completely gone for the people around you.
Hey yo man, that's cheating! That man's cheating! Report him!
Tip number 6. Bada bing, bada boom. Punch a gas canister against the wall until it's badly damaged, and then... that's right. Tip number 7. Loadout. It's super important to be very specific what sort of items you're going to take with you. The more stuff you carry, the slower your character becomes. Therefore, it is smart to leave as much nonsense as you can. But protection is extremely important. These are some of the loadouts I prefer to use when gearing up. When you're fresh, kind of look for a little helmet and a stab vest. As you progress, the first thing you kind of want to look for is a ballistic vest or a press vest. This will help you from getting one-tapped. My final loadout consists mostly of a long-range weapon and a short-range weapon. Also, don't take the mountain backpack. You can't really see what's happening behind you. I prefer the improvised backpack as it's easy to make and less obvious than any of the other backpacks. Besides the hunting one, of course. Tip number 8. The state of your weapon is extremely important. Worn, damaged, or badly damaged bullets, magazines, or the weapon itself can cause it to jam. Therefore, don't load your magazines with damaged or worn bullets, unless of course there is no other option. Fix this by using a gun cleaning kit that works for the weapon and the magazine. Tip number 9. Fighting indoors can be quite tricky. The longer your weapon, the more challenging it gets. Standing too close to the wall will lift up your gun. Now this is extremely annoying if you're cleaning out an apartment, for example. Be smart and maintain some distance, or simply use a sawed-off weapon. Tip number 10. Finding the right protection. As mentioned before, ballistic vests are extremely important. The stab vest can be found on police zombies or police stations. The press vest can be found in residential areas, and the ballistic vest can get you from military zombies, military bases, or heli crashes. Tip number 11. Practice makes perfect. A good way to learn the game fast if you're on PC is by joining deathmatch servers. Download the DayZ launcher and look for deathmatch servers. This will give you a better feeling for the gunplay, and just like in sports, warming up is extremely important. Tip number 12. Approaching PvP hot zones. Some areas are more dangerous than others. Of course, DayZ being DayZ, you'll never really know when you can expect to run into someone. However, high traffic areas like Stary Sobor, Novi Sobor, VMC, Northwest Airfield, Zelenogorsk, and Tissy have a higher chance of you running into someone. Therefore, scoping out these areas first before entering is something you should apply to your playstyle. I personally take a couple of minutes to scan the area with binoculars just to make sure I'm safe. However, these areas have common spots where players tend to camp. For Stary Sobor, we have the big red barn, the double red and green downtown, and the sniper hill close to the military camp. Novi Sobor has the PD, double red and green, and a sniper hill towards the northeast. VMC has the camo building and the hill behind the area. Zelenogorsk has the second floor fire station back windows, the camo building, and the double red next to the entrance. For the Northwest Airfield, people tend to camp in the ATC, the barracks, the HQ, and the two rocks to the north of the tents, which is an excellent place for snipers. Tissy, well yeah, Tissy is being camped everywhere. Tip number 13. Bullet penetration through walls. 7.62 and .308 can shoot through metal, wood, and some of the concrete walls. Therefore, you can wall bang players. However, this doesn't always apply to walls, but definitely for doors. Tip number 14. Playing smart versus playing greedy. We tend to get really excited during PvP in DayZ, but often forget that perhaps there is a second player out there. Rushing doesn't always work, especially if the player has a better position than you. Sometimes it's smarter to be patient and wait out your opponent instead of going full Rambo. Tip number 15. Situational awareness. If I'm playing alone, I always try to have a binocular with me. Keep a track of tree lines, take breaks from moving around constantly to just listen for a moment. Chances are players could be around you that you didn't even realize. Scan cities or towns first, not for just 10 seconds, but be patient, and once you're confident, make your way in. Tip number 16. Playstyle. Try and find what works best for you. I've learned that being a bit more patient usually wins most of the firefights. Unofficial, the game is much slower, thus you can pick the right moment to engage. If you spot another player that gives you the upper hand, you get the set where the firefight takes place. The more modded servers don't really have to struggle with stamina, and I've learned that on these types of servers, movement is extremely important. The moment you engage, you should instantly change your position. Tip number 17. Bottle suppressors. Easy to make and literally a lifesaver. Simply combine duct tape with a bottle and attach it to your rifle. Most of the guns take the suppressor and it is extremely difficult to track where the gunshots came from. Tip number 18. If playing with a friend, communication is extremely important. Call-outs of buildings could help you in an intense situation. These are some of the names I use for the buildings. We got ATC, Double Beige, Watermelon, Piano Building, The Bar, Mustache, Double Barns, Double Blue, Silos, Tents, Apartments, and PD. I'm curious what you guys call some of these buildings. Let me know in the comments down below. Tip number 19. Learn to zero your rifle. Install the DayZ offline editor mod and get used to the ranges in DayZ. Spawn a bunch of zombies on different ranges and get a feeling how far they are. This helps you to get a natural feeling to zero in your rifle. Last but not least, tip number 20. Well, I would say this is not really a tip, but something to keep in mind. DayZ is a game and we're all here to have fun. PvP is a big part of that fun, but sometimes it can lead to frustration. I've got many hours into the game, but that doesn't make me the greatest PvPer out there. The most important is to lose that fear of losing your gear. I get it, looting up can take a long period of time, but that should not discourage you from having fun. Losing your character is all part of the game. Overcome that fear, and those shakes of adrenaline we all have, especially if you're new to the game, will slowly disappear. Once you feel like you're in control of yourself, you will notice you will automatically become a better player. Well guys, I hope you learned something new today, and feel free to share your tips and tricks in the comments down below. I appreciate you for watching, and I wish you all the best in DayZ. Take care.
Holy damn.